My mother said that the thing she regretted most was marrying my nouveau riche father. Later they divorced and I chose my mother, who was elegant and not materialistic. As a result, I was scolded if I ate better and beaten if I dressed better. When I wanted to take back the room I had robbed from my uncle's house, he scolded me, saying that I was just like your low-quality father and only knew how to use money to enjoy life. It really made me sick. Later, when my uncle owed a huge gambling debt and wanted to sell me for money, I cried and begged my mother to save me, but she just frowned. That's your uncle, what's wrong with you getting some money to save him? Don't be as selfish as your father, who only knew how to spend money on himself. In the end, I was treated as a mobile organ and died on the operating table with an empty internal organ. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the time when they divorced and asked me who to choose. Is it just that I spent a little money? My brother needs to buy a house to get married, so what's wrong with me, his sister, giving him a villa? Money is something outside of the body. Do you know that? Money, money, money. You only know money. There is a sense of market economy all over your body. This is the real rich and powerful. The difference between the nouveau riche and the poor who suddenly become rich but do not improve their cognition. No wonder you will go bankrupt and get divorced. You and I simply cannot get along. My dad clenched his fists, took a deep breath and said, "Divorce is divorce, but that villa is my last property. I saved it for Xiaoya as a dowry in the future. It can't be given to your brother. You must get the house back." My mom, as if she heard some terrible nonsense, she closed her eyes and took a long time to relax. Finally the two of them looked at me together. "Xiaoya, this matter was caused by you. You decide who to be with." My mom lightly pushed all the responsibilities to me, but my dad touched my head and said, "It has nothing to do with the child, it's your actions that caused our divorce today." Looking at the same scene as in the last life, my heart was pounding. My mom sat on the sofa, her face full of silence, while my dad was red with anger and paced back and forth at home. In my last life, I felt that my mother was emotionally stable, gentle and sensible, so I did not hesitate. I chose my mother. But after spending a year alone with him, I realized that my father's rage was forced out by him. Thinking of the tragic ending of my previous life, I stood next to my father almost without hesitation and said, "Dad, I want to be with you." My father, who was still angry, looked at me in surprise, and the anger in his eyes instantly dissipated. My mother just opened her eyes and glanced in my direction, and then returned to her indifferent expression. "She is worthy of being a woman just the same. You are short-sighted and only know money. You don't understand that it is a virtue to regard money as dirt." My father covered my ears directly, as if he was afraid that I would be poisoned by these words. "Since your daughter has that villa with me, you should return it as soon as possible. As for the common property of husband and wife, I will find someone to settle it." I pulled my father's hand down, and then looked at my mother eagerly. Would someone like my mother who regards money as dirt care about such external things? The indifferent face of my mother, it seemed a little broken, but it returned to normal in an instant. She seemed to want to maintain this kind of temperament as elegant as a chrysanthemum to the end. "Then I will leave the house with nothing. This kind of elegant character you will never learn in your life." After that, he went upstairs, packed up his things hastily and left. Before leaving, he said to me, "I hope you don't degenerate." I laughed. "This is called degeneration. Then I hope my mother will never degenerate when she has no money in the future." In my last life I chose my mother. After my father left, I didn't get anything at all. The villa, as my future dowry, was given to his younger brother by my mother on the same day. But my uncle's family lived there for less than 2 months and then ran to our house. The reason was simple. The villa was too big and they couldn't afford a nanny. They had to pay for cleaning, water and electricity and cook by themselves. It was not cost-effective no matter how you thought about it. After arriving at our house, my uncle's family began to dominate. At first, they just asked my mother to cook for them, but after my mother cooked vegetarian dishes for a week, they unable to bear it any longer, she started forcing me to cook. At that time, I was in the 3rd year of junior high school, and was busy with the high school entrance examination. I protested to my mother, but she said that we are all family and shouldn't care so much about gains and losses. Now your father and I have separated, so don't learn his bad habits, which is what I hate the most. There is no way my own mother doesn't protect me, and I have no say in my own home. In desperation, I can only study and cook at the same time. I got a lot of blisters on my hands, but my mother turned a blind eye. But later I was scolded if I ate better and beaten if I dressed better. Seeing that I had no status, my uncle's family directly let their son occupy my room. I wanted to take back the room that was taken away, but he said that you are just like your low-quality father. You only know how to use money to enjoy life. It really made me sick. At that moment, I thoroughly felt the emotions that my father had accumulated over the years. I did not use money to enjoy life, never indulged in extravagance, and just wanted to live a normal life in my own home, but he said that I was greedy. Samaban? He only cared about the money he had earned and spent it on entertainment, but his younger brother, on the other hand, had been using our family's money and had gotten into the bad habit of gambling. Not only did he lose all the money in the villa, but he also squandered all the money in the family. With nowhere else to go, my uncle set his evil intentions on me and wanted to sell me for money. I could only cry and beg my mother to save me, but he is only your sister and he is your uncle. What's wrong with you getting some money to save him? Don't be like your dad, who only knew how to use the money on himself. In the end, I was treated as a mobile organ and died on the operating table with an empty internal organ. If living a normal life without support is depravity, then let me degenerate to the end. My father is indeed a nouveau riche. His family was demolished and he became rich overnight. But after he had the money, my father did not squander it. Instead, he opened a small company. The company's operations had been going well in the past few years, but this year I don't know what happened, and it suddenly lost a lot of money. After my mother left, I went to pack up her things, but the more I packed, the more ironic I felt. Looking at her closet, there is no clothes that cost less than 2,000 yuan. The skincare products on the dressing table are all big brands. Even a bottle of the simplest water costs more than 1,000. It is obvious that she is the beneficiary and the one who is extravagant and licentious in this family, but he satirizes my father one by one, saying that the poor man has suddenly become rich and that I only know how to pursue pleasure. It is true that I can only talk about others but not myself. Without the support of my father's money in this life, I want to see how she, who is as calm as a chrysanthemum, lives. Just as I was thinking about it, the door of my house was slammed. I went downstairs and saw that my greedy uncle and aunt were confronting my father downstairs. The two of them were shouting with their necks stiff, saying that my sister has already given me the villa, which is my house, and I have obtained the marriage certificate with my wife. Now she suddenly regrets and asks us where to live in the future. I tell you, there is no way you can go back. A dead girl wants a villa after getting married. See if she deserves it. His rogue look is just like the previous generation. My uncle and aunt are exactly the same, but the difference is that I have my father to protect me in this life. My father is tall and I feel safe when he stands in front of me. What does your marrying a wife have to do with me? Besides, this is my house. Your sister and I are getting divorced. I have no reason to give my house to you to get married. When they heard about divorce, my uncle and aunt were shocked again. They discussed it as if they didn't take me and my father seriously. How could your sister divorce just like that? She didn't even discuss such a big thing with us. What should we do after the divorce? But the property must be divided in the divorce. My aunt patted my uncle's arm frantically, and my uncle immediately turned around and looked at us. The property must be divided in the divorce. You filed for the divorce, so you are the party at fault. You should leave the house with nothing and leave this house to my sister. There are some things my dad is embarrassed to say, but I am really embarrassed, so I smiled and said, "Didn't you discuss it with Mom before you came? She has already decided to leave the house with nothing." My mother said that she was a person who regarded money as dirt and didn't care about our dirty money. My uncle and aunt's eyes widened instantly. They asked if your sister had a problem with her brain. My father called the security guard at the gate of the community and directly issued an eviction order. If you want to divide the property, you can let your sister come to me in person to talk to me. I nodded frantically in agreement. She was as calm as a chrysanthemum. I also wanted to see if my mother was really like that. I waited for 2 days, but there was no movement from my mother. However, the situation on my father's side was not very good. Because the company went bankrupt and owed a lot of foreign debts, my father was busy every day. The debt collection calls came one after another. I couldn't bear it, so I simply suggested to my father that we sell the villa. Without waiting for my father to refuse, I took the lead and continued to say that the villa had a good location and should be able to sell for a lot of money. After paying off the debts, there would be some money left. Dad, I believe you still have the ability to make a comeback. After I finished speaking, my father's eyes suddenly turned red. He wiped his face and then he touched my head and assured me, "Dad thought you would follow your mom, but don't worry, I will raise you well even if I have to sell everything I have." I couldn't help laughing. The mother I followed in my previous life was in good conditions, but I couldn't feel the warmth of family affection. Instead, I suffered greatly from her. Now it's better. I'm with Dad. Although the current conditions are a little difficult, I am spiritually rich. Dad, you should sell the house quickly, otherwise my uncle's family will definitely stare at it covetously. Under my strong desire, my dad finally contacted the agent and put the house up for sale. Because of its good location, someone contacted my dad that day. The villa would be sold for at least 20 million. That person asked my dad to take him to see the house that day. I went with him on a whim, but I didn't expect that we would run into my uncle's family at the door of the villa. The man was very satisfied with the villa. It looked like he wanted to sign the contract on the spot. But when everything was ready, my uncle and my mother suddenly rushed out, and she tore up the check that the buyer was going to give to my dad without caring about anything. Not only the buyer, But even my dad and I were stunned. Zhao Yu, what are you doing? My dad was so angry that he wanted to grab him and question him, but he pulled my aunt in front of him and blocked her. Just try and see if you dare to touch me. My wife is pregnant. If anything happens to him, I will blackmail you for the rest of my life. My dad put down his outstretched hand angrily. The buyer was stunned and finally looked at my dad with anger on his face. Your house has a dispute. Why are you still selling it? I ran all the way to your place. Aren't you deliberately making trouble for me? You have no manners. After saying that, the man turned around and left. No matter how my dad tried to persuade him to stay, it was useless. My uncle was still shouting like a rogue, pulling his neck and shouting, "Yes, there is a dispute about this house. This is not his house at all. I am the owner of the house. Brother, when you go back, spread it in your circle and tell those who want to see the house not to come. I am domineering." He clenched his fists. I was afraid that he would act on impulse, so I quickly held down his arm. Dad, call Mom, he must fix the mess he made. My uncle and his wife sat at the door of the villa. Humph, it would be useless even if the King of Heaven came today. My dad glared at him with a red face, turned his head and called my mother angrily. After explaining the whole story, my dad said angrily, "Come here now and get rid of them. If they delay me from selling the house again, I will call the police." On the other end of the phone, my mother's tone was full of contempt. "Go if you want. Our family is different from yours." Half an hour later, my mother finally arrived. She rolled her eyes at us when she got out of the car because I didn't choose her. It seems that she doesn't even recognize me as her daughter. "Sister, you are finally here. Hurry up and talk to your ex-husband. The house was promised to us. There is no reason to ask for something back after giving it to others. I won't do it." After hearing this, my mother's face looked a little ugly, but she still acted like a famous family, the elegant airs of a lady. A faint glance at the appearance of the villa really has a bit of the aura of a person as quiet as a chrysanthemum, but it's a pity that in this world, who can be free from some rust? He can do it, but my uncle can't. You have to have some backbone. It's just a house. If you don't give it to me, then don't give it. After these words came out, my uncle and aunt opened their mouths wide. My uncle didn't care about much. He directly and rudely dragged my mother to the side and said, "Are you crazy? Do you know how much this villa is worth? I can't buy it in my lifetime. Now the opportunity is right in front of me. You want me to give it back to him? How is it possible?" My father and I hugged our arms and watched the show on the side. We have been married for more than 10 years, and my father has been disliked a lot. In my previous life, I was hurt by his rhetoric. Even defending his legitimate interests is disgusting. He only has money in his eyes. What will he say now? His own brother saw that we were all staring at him. Mom seemed to be a little embarrassed. He pushed my uncle's hand away with a gloomy face. Money is the body. External things can neither be brought nor taken away. People should know how to be content with what they have. My aunt was so angry that she put her hands on her hips, turned around and cursed. He still knew to consider his face, but my uncle was a scoundrel. After hearing this, he ran away on the spot. My uncle pointed at my mother's nose and began to curse. "What bullshit about being content with what you have? What money is external to you? I just know that I can't live without money. Look at yourself wearing all branded clothes and you still tell me about external things. According to Chengdu, we are a family. Everyone knows who is who. Why are you pretending to be noble here? I tell you, I must have this house. No one can say anything to me." Suddenly being scolded, my mother was stunned and couldn't react for a while. Yes, he used to have money, and my uncle and aunt have always complimented him, but it's a pity that he never figured it out, and really thought that my uncle and he had a deep sister-brother relationship. "Zhao Yu, I'm your real sister. How can you talk to me like this? Don't talk nonsense here. If you have money, I'll tell you." "I don't mind saying that. I don't like it. Merchants are the most heartless and ungrateful. See you tomorrow morning." You see, he has always been like this. No matter what happens, he can always clean himself up, and then put a disgusting hat on you. The next morning, my father and I went to the gate of the Civil Affairs Bureau. When we arrived, my mother was wearing a white dress, standing there indifferently, with a proud face. Of course, if you ignore the suitcase next to her. Although my father is determined to divorce, after all, they have been together for so many years and still have feelings for each other. So he asked why you are holding a suitcase and are you going to move out? My mother looked at him coldly. "If you don't know, you might think that he has suffered a lot of grievances in this marriage. Thanks to you." My father was confused, but I understood. It must be because of what happened yesterday. He didn't help my uncle and aunt to speak, and now he was kicked out. I poked my father on the back, motioning him to get down to business quickly, but my mother saw my small action and he snorted coldly that I don't know where he took out a small knife, and my father protected it on the spot. I took a half step back, but saw that he cut a piece of cloth from the hem of his skirt by imitating the way he did in the TV series. He held it with his fingertips, and then let go when a gust of wind blew. From now on, I will sever all ties with you and your daughter. Dad, you didn't look at him but walked quickly into the Civil Affairs Bureau. Because of the cooling-off period, the divorce had to be postponed to 30 days later. After coming out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Mom took the suitcase and parted ways with us without saying a word. I looked at my mother's back and shook my head. She can treat money as dirt, but she is not a fairy. Living in this world, she always has to have food, clothing, shelter and transportation. I don't know when he will bow down for a few dollars. Will he still think of us two disgusting people, Uncle? As for my uncle's side, my father just gave a warning and did not really call the police. The house was still being sold, but because they messed up once, the sale became visibly difficult. My father had no choice but to sell the house in his hometown to temporarily alleviate the difficulties, but the hundreds of thousands of dollars were a drop in the bucket for the debt, and we haven't found a new buyer yet. The security guard from the villa area called and said, "Sir, your house is starting renovations today. Do you need any help from us?" After receiving the call, my father was so angry that he wanted to drive over, but I stopped him and took the phone. He said there was no need for any special help, just let them come and go freely. After hanging up the phone, I called 110 and returned the phone to my father. Construction on someone else's house started. Our interests have been infringed. Dad, don't be soft-hearted. My dad punched the sofa hard and called the police. After the call was connected, my dad and the police rushed to the villa at the same time. When we arrived, my uncle was directing people to demolish the wall. Tear down this wall for me. After the two bedrooms are connected, this will be my playroom. My dad and I strode in together. Stop everyone. We bought a big speaker in advance on the way here, and it came in handy at this time. The workers stopped their work and looked around. After my uncle and aunt heard the noise here, they also spat on the ground, and then walked over unwillingly. That unscrupulous look was very much like the way they forcibly occupied my room in their previous life. My dear brother-in-law, what are you going to do again? This house, if it's given to me, it's given to me. Can't I just start decorating it? Dad couldn't stop the disgust in his eyes. I'll say it one last time. This house is my personal property and has nothing to do with your sister. He said that giving it to you has no legal effect. Get out now. Uncle grinned. He put one hand on the wall and looked at us carelessly. I'm going to live here. What can you do to me? After he finished speaking, the sound of the police car came. Uncle and aunt changed their faces. They both stood upright immediately. Uncle took out cigarettes from his pocket and greeted them. Police comrade, why are you here? Come and have a smoke. He moved his tricks on the streets to the police, but it was a pity that they didn't buy it. Who called the police? Dad waved to the police. We have been prepared here and even brought the property certificate. Comrade policeman, you see, this is our house, but he renovated it here without permission. I have warned him once before, but they didn't listen. My uncle and aunt came over immediately and surrounded the policeman on the left and right. Don't listen to his nonsense. This is my sister's house. My sister is his wife, and my sister promised to give me this house a long time ago, saying that it would be a dowry for my wife. Now my wife is pregnant, and there is nothing wrong with you renovating this house. It's all because of my brother-in-law's narrow-mindedness. You clearly promised it before, but now you don't want to give it to me. Then my wife is making a fuss about divorcing me. What can I do? I already have a child. Can I still let my wife go? Brother-in-law, you are already a household to be demolished, and you still need such a small one. Villa, can't you just fulfill your brother-in-law's wish? As soon as the uncle opened his mouth, he said that my father was a bad person. But fortunately, the police uncle would not only listen to their one-sided words. After understanding the situation, they directly scolded the uncle. They have divorced. Even if your sister verbally agreed to give it to you, it is not valid now. You should apologize immediately. Looking at the new house that has been messed up, I was furious. Before the uncle opened his mouth, I expressed my demands first. The house has been messed up like this. We not only ask for an apology but also compensation and legal responsibility. Bah, you little girl, the liar aunt even supported him. The belly that didn't want to get pregnant at all shouted, "No, my stomach hurts because of them. I want to go to the hospital." The two policemen looked at each other. They took us all back to the police station because my mother was involved in the incident. She was also called over by the police uncle. However, as soon as she arrived at the police station, my uncle pointed at her nose and scolded her. "How dare you come here? Am I your biological brother? When our mother left, she clearly said that she would hand me over to you, but you ended up cheating me like this, right? You said you would give me a house, but now you have taken me to the police station and accused me of breaking the law. It was all said by your biological daughter, my niece." As she spoke, she pointed her chin in my direction. My mother lowered her eyes and stared at the ground, her chest heaving violently, as if she was furious. No one expected that she would suddenly rush over and slap me. Fortunately, my father reacted quickly and pulled me back a step in time. which prevented his slap from falling. Liaokong Xiaocheng, you are really crazy. Why did you hit your daughter for no reason? Mom glared at me fiercely, just like in the previous life. The reason he has become like this is because he inherited the bad genes from you. Just for a house, he actually called the police to arrest his own uncle. Which is more important, blood relationship or house? I have said it many times, money is external things. Why can't you listen at all? Family affection is the most important, no matter when. He is your own uncle. Uncle and aunt stood by proudly, shaking their legs, and my dad shook his head with disappointment. I don't know how long you will favor your mother's family. After that, my dad looked at the police more firmly. I will hold them accountable to the end. This house is to be sold. Either they restore it to its original state or wait to go to jail. Mom and uncle wanted to talk, but were stopped by the police. Illegal invasion of other people's homes can result in detention at the least and jail at the worst. There are all kinds of interests involved. Think about it carefully. Uncle gritted his teeth, as if he wanted to tear us apart and eat us. Hubby, you can't go to jail. Aunt hugged uncle's arm. Okay, I'll compensate you. My sister is right. You are a beast who only recognizes money and not people. I originally wanted 20,000 in compensation. After he said that, I raised 5 fingers. Okay, then 50,000 in compensation. After that, I ignored him and the family's curses, and directly pulled Dad away. My daughter demolished 2 walls. Isn't this a bit too much? I smiled. It's just not a lot. How did my uncle fall into the trap? As for gambling, in his previous life, my uncle owed a huge amount of money because of gambling. Now we have called the police, and he dare not go to the house to make trouble anymore. I asked my father to find someone to restore the house to its original state first. After all, we are waiting to sell the house for the money. At the same time, I sent 2 text messages a day to urge my uncle to repay the debt. At first, my uncle just scolded me, but later my mother joined in, saying, "You are a conscienceless animal, you have fallen into the eyes of money. Do you want to force me to death?" I hurriedly guessed that my mother must be having a hard time now. My uncle's family was angry with me, and they would definitely vent their anger on my mother, but what could I do? I could only reply to my mother, "Mom, money is something outside of the body. An elegant person like you should regard money as dirt. Don't worry about dirt. Okay?" These 2 sentences completely changed my mind. After blocking my mother's mouth, I gave my uncle an ultimatum 3 days later. "Uncle, if you don't pay back the money, I will refuse to compensate you and make you bear the legal responsibility. You little bastard, just wait to get the money, and I will bring you some more when the time comes." When I saw this, I smiled and squinted my eyes. It seems that my uncle has already started gambling. According to his greedy nature, once he tastes the sweetness, he will never stop. Without his interference, our house selling went much more smoothly. The villa was eventually sold for 20 million. Not only did my father pay off his debts, he also had a large part of the savings left, but he actually wanted to deposit the money in the bank. I know my father feels guilty towards my dad. This house was originally yours, and I don't care at all what dowry or not. Besides, if you really feel embarrassed, I will use the money to start over. By then, I will have a bigger villa than this one. Dad looked at me for a while, then turned around and drank the cup. As long as Dad can cheer up again, I believe he will be able to make a comeback. A few days later, my uncle threw 30,000 yuan on the floor of my house. In just a few days, he has changed his clothes from head to toe. It's just that the 4 words "poor man suddenly rich" are most appropriate for him. Giving you money is just 50,000 yuan, let alone 50,000 yuan. Even if it is 100,000 yuan, I can afford it now, but I won't give it to you. Hey, I just won't give it to you. I will burn the money and feed it to the dogs instead of giving it to you. My father and I looked at him like a fool. The image of a nouveau riche is concrete at this moment. My uncle answered a phone call at my house. He stretched out one foot and shook it when answering the phone. "Hello, which casino are you?" "I'll be there soon." A day in the casino. The 2 fathers' brows immediately frowned. Before my uncle left, my dad couldn't help but remind him that casinos are not places that ordinary people can play in. "So you'd better be careful." My uncle sneered and spat on the floor of my house. "When I become rich in the future, I will kill you first." My father sighed and I raised my eyebrows. I was very happy to see my uncle's current appearance. "Dad, everyone has his own retribution, so you'd better not think too much. I will start school in 2 days. Is it time for you and Mom to get a divorce certificate?" At my reminder, Dad asked Mom out again, and the 2 of them went to get the divorce certificate together. They didn't say a word the whole time, and my mom didn't even look at us. The moment we got out of the political situation, we seemed to have become complete strangers. She walked forward without looking back. I just hope she won't regret it in this life, but no matter how I think about it, it seems impossible. In the previous life, my uncle owed a huge foreign debt, and he relied on selling my organs to pay off the debt. It is impossible for her to touch me in this life. As for touching my aunt, she is pregnant with her child, so who else can she touch? Dad regained his confidence and opened a small company again. He was afraid that I would suffer, so he insisted on keeping half of the money in the bank card, and I went back to school and started to continue my studies. In the previous life, because of my mother and uncle, I didn't even go to junior high school. I graduated successfully and everything is moving in a good direction this time. I can finally study without distraction and don't have to worry about running home to cook after class. After a month, my academic performance has improved a lot. My head teacher said that I have a chance to sprint for a key high school. My father was very happy when he heard the news, and took me out for dinner that night to celebrate. It's just that enemies have a narrow road. We actually met again in that restaurant. My uncle, aunt, and mother. The food on the table was more luxurious than ours. The three of them ordered more than 10 dishes. My uncle was also making loud noises in the quiet restaurant. The funny thing is that my mother didn't say a word from beginning to end. Then I realized that his words such as greed for enjoyment and low quality were only used to describe my father and me. Now his younger brother clearly Ming did the most uncivilized thing, which attracted the attention of other people in the restaurant, but he was still able to sit there without changing his expression. He even helped cut the steaks for my uncle and aunt. My father peeled the lobster for me and put it on my plate. Don't look at the meal. When we finished eating, their table had already left. My father called the waiter to settle the bill, but the waiter said, "Sir, someone has already paid for your table. It was a lady. She also left you a note. You are trying to be rich, but you still haven't made any progress." My father and I were so angry that we laughed. After all, he has been close to your uncle's family for so many years, so it is only right that we have a meal with him. After leaving, I kept calculating in my heart that according to the development of the previous life, my uncle should have lost everything in the past 2 days. Sure enough, 4 days later in the morning, my dad and I got bombarded with calls. It wasn't from my uncle, but from debt collectors. My uncle actually filled in my dad's phone number as the guarantor's information. My dad was urged to pay back the money early in the morning. At first, he thought he really had forgotten to pay someone back, but after hearing my uncle's name, my dad went directly to the police station to file a case. That night, someone suddenly knocked on the door. My dad and I looked at my uncle's face on the screen. No one opened the door. "Brother-in-law, please save me. You are my best brother-in-law. Something happened to me. Can you give me some money? I will pay you back later." But if I don't give them money now, they will break my legs. Please help me. I will work like a slave for you in the future. Please help me." My father and I tacitly didn't speak to each other, and then we went back to our respective bedrooms. My father later asked someone and found out that my uncle lost 7 million in gambling outside, and now he can't pay it back at all. He has been hiding from debts everywhere, and this 7 million is exactly the amount on my card. That afternoon, I received another call from my mother. The words were exactly the same as in the previous life. "I know you have money, please help him. He is your real uncle, you give it's reasonable for him to spend some money. Don't be like your dad who only spends money on himself." I hung up the phone decisively. In this case, let him go and share the joys and sorrows with his uncle. My mother called me for 2 consecutive days. On the 3rd day, he suddenly seemed to have disappeared. Even if I called him, the other end couldn't get through. Thinking of what I had experienced in my previous life, he was probably murdered, so I called the police. After a search, the police found my mother's body in the old house of my aunt. When the police arrived, there were 2 people in white coats. They were taking out my mother's heart. As for the other organs, they had been hollowed out long ago. There was only an empty shell left in the entire abdominal cavity. My uncle and aunt were keeping watch outside. When they saw the police, they ran. As a result, my aunt fell while escaping, and her stomach happened to hit the tip of the cornstalk in the field. The child died on the spot. My uncle and aunt were arrested and imprisoned for trafficking in human organs. When my father heard the news, he fell silent. After a long time, he said that evil will be punished, and it was all their own fault. Yes, it was all their own fault. Fortunately, I escaped from that cage in this life.